2 Def Dailies in one day, Lee? Who's Lee? If you're Lee, man, welcome. Welcome to the Def Daily. Still got the bad hair. That's still, we're still rocking that. Still found myself another parking lot to sit in while I record this. Yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie to you. I really like the formula, the format of, this channel being dedicated to, like, I don't give a shit. I'm just going to upload whatever's on my mind at that time. Now, I'm going to try and make it a little bit topical, a little bit relevant to things that are going on in the world of stuff that I personally care about. So, on that note, I want to talk about exactly 2 things before I go home. 2 things. Number 1, we're going to talk about iOS 26. We're going to talk about iOS 26. Huge jump. I know. We went from 18 to 26. How'd that come? Well, the whole thing with Apple, and honestly, I agree with this. I had some people that I know think it was very stupid. It was a very dumb thing for them to do, to switch from their current scheme to jump to 26. They were like, that's dumb, that's stupid. Let me tell you why it's not dumb. First of all, before I get into my review of iOS 26, it's not dumb because the issue was you would have like iOS 18 and then, watchOS, 10, 11, something like that. And then you'd have macOS, insert name here. What else? iPadOS. I don't even know what the last one was. Maybe 15 or something. WatchOS 12. It was confusing. I mean, like, not necessarily. If you're just somebody who updates all your devices all the time, and you keep them up to date, you don't really care about the version number. You just care that you're updated, right? But if you did want to, I don't know many normal people who bring up version numbers in their day-to-day conversations, but let's say you're one of those people. Putting it to the year in the same way that, 2K does with their games, meaning, this is named after the year this is meant to carry us through, right? So, Madden 26 or NBA 2K 26 comes out mid to late 2025, and that is meant to carry them through 2026. And it makes a lot more sense, especially with Apple, because they update their OSs in September of every year. So you now have a situation where across the board, no matter what device you're using, it is macOS, watchOS, iPadOS, tvOS, and iOS 26 for the year 2026. And I think that makes sense. I think it simplifies things. I think that's great. A lot of people are going to say it's dumb. Whatever, man. Fuck you. But let me just give my feedback as somebody who, I develop apps on the side just for fun. I just release them for free. It's just something for me to get, some more experience every time I do another one. iOS 26, of course, it's a developer beta. It is not meant for public use yet. But with that out the way, there are some really weird issues. Really, really weird issues. For example, if I put in my AirPods into my ear holes, and I'm using, it doesn't matter what app it is, any app, there will be a period of about 5 to 6 seconds where I cannot use the home bar. So I can't quick swap apps. I can't go to the home screen. I can't do anything. Not a big issue, but it is something that, for Apple, that's a big issue. Everything that they do is supposed to run very smoothly, and that's not something that's running very smoothly. Another issue I've had is just, general stuttering and stuff, and other things that would be developer beta kinks. Like, for example, in iMessage, whenever I'm using that, it'll have the profile photo, like the profile picture, the little photo, the contact photo for whoever it is that you're messaging at the top, as it always does, little circle. Then below that, it'll have their name in a liquid glass bubble. And that bubble overlaps with the contact photo. And it looks very weird. It looks very weird. But aside from that, all of the new features they've introduced, I think both from a design aspect, like a UI aspect, I think they look really, really good. The UX really hasn't been touched very much, the user experience. So as far as all of their UI design changes have gone, nothing much has really changed in terms of how you actually interact with your iPhone, save for one thing, which is that pop-up little windows with your options like, share, copy, all that shit. Those are now context sensitive in relation to where you are on the screen. So if you're in the middle of the screen, that little bubble will pop up in the middle of the screen. If it's, bottom right, bottom left, top, any side, it's context sensitive. It will pop up in those areas. I think that's a really phenomenal change. Not a big fan of all the Apple Intelligence shit. I just got to be honest. I'm not a guy who likes AI integration into anything. You're not gonna sway me on that. I'm sorry. If it takes an entire bottle of water of coolant in terms of water usage to allow you to make one single prompt, and no one's making one single prompt. Let's be clear about that. You're making multiple prompts. If you're asking ChatGPT or, I guess Apple Intelligence would be ChatGPT, or, DeepSeek, or any of these other AI models, Gemini, if you're asking them any kind of question, you're not just doing one thing. You're gonna, there's iterations to your question. You're doing follow-ups. Or if you're generating images, I think that probably takes up even more water. And I don't think that using water in that capacity to cool something that is so unnecessary and will likely lead to, I don't want to be all doomer and shit, but probably like symptoms of early onset dementia and shit, because no one is like thinking. They're just, AI has the answer. I can just ask that. Yeah, I think it's very, very silly. So I don't really care about those changes. I think it's bullshit that HomeKit didn't really get any attention. That's my biggest problem with iOS 26, if I'm being honest with you. I think HomeKit being neglected once again is nonsense. But aside from that, man, I've been having a good time with iOS 26. It's kind of changed the way that I want to design the interface a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. A little bit more of an issue there, but it's just changing up your design and UI. That's all it is. It's not a big deal. The second thing I wanted to talk about today is Wrestlemania 42, which, speaking of AI, they also used AI in their logo design for WrestleMania 42. No idea why. This is TKO Holding, that is, the owners of WWE at this point, and you can't afford to just pay a graphic designer to make a logo. Someone on Twitter, I don't know who it was, you can easily find it if you just look up WrestleMania 42 AI logo. You will find it. I promise you, you will find it. It is almost a 100% certainty that they used AI to make the WrestleMania 42 logo. And not only that, but for WrestleMania 42, they decided, you know what, we made X amount of dollars last year. Let's do that again, the following year, which they New Orleans won the contract for WrestleMania 42. And I was so excited to be able to go down to New Orleans next year. No longer happening. It's back in Vegas. I think that's very dumb. I do think that whoever wrote Triple H's little script for announcing that. I think they did a phenomenal job being like, Las Vegas, are you ready to double down? Because, gambling, doubling down, Vegas, you get it. I think they did a phenomenal job at that. But overall, I think it's bullshit. Very sorry case. Very sad state. And I think that for multiple reasons, not only because, I think it's bullshit to take away from the allure of WrestleMania, which is it goes to different cities and it has a different design specific to that city that makes that particular year's WrestleMania feel so unique and so different and so much fun to watch, especially whenever they make those beautiful stages for it. Yeah, I think that is a sad case, but even from another perspective, if you're looking at it as a business, if your whole thing is, we broke more records than ever, then my thing is this: WrestleMania 3, you had a greater attendance on that one night than you did for either of the single nights for WrestleMania 41. And since you're doing 2 nights no matter what at this point, why not go to a stadium that has a higher capacity in terms of seating arrangement? Because then if you're doing 2 nights, and let's say it's a stadium that can seat 72,000 people versus Allegiant Stadium's, 60 something thousand, 65, 66,000. And if you sell out or close to sell out, like let's say 70,000 one night, and then you do like 68, 69,000 the following night, or vice versa, you broke the record again. Using a different stadium. So to me, I see through that bullshit. I know it's just more corporate bullshit. What it really comes down to is, TKO does a lot of UFC shit in Las Vegas. Why not replicate that formula with, WrestleMania, with WWE? And so, according to all of the, insiders and leaks and rumors and all that shit, it seems like they want to host WrestleMania in Vegas in a year that Vegas doesn't have like a Super Bowl or, like a big NCAA deal or a big NBA or a big college basketball deal. So to me, it's a little bit sad. It's a little bit sad. You're just going for the greed. And also they got hella tax write-offs for being in Vegas. And that's really what it comes down to. So I'm a little bit sad, definitely very disillusioned on that front. But it's just kind of the way of the game, I suppose. The game. But no matter what, here's my biggest hope is that for next year, let's just say I decide to be seated, despite the fact that I'm like questioning it a little bit morally. Let's say I decide to be seated for WrestleMania 42 as I was with WrestleMania 41. Given that it's Stone Cold Steve Austin's, city, I hope that I get to see him again. Hopefully he doesn't crash into the barricade again, but hopefully I get to see him again. That'd be very, very cool. Hopefully I get to see The Rock at WrestleMania. I'd be happy about that too. But very strange circumstances. But I wanted to get out another little quick Def Daily dose of Def Daily. Yeah, man, that's it. I want to ingrain this in my mind that I need to do this every day. My question for you, it is Thirsty Thursday. No, it's Throwback Thursday. What is one thing from the past that you are grateful for? I want to ask you that. You can reply in the comments with your answers to that. What is one thing from the past that you are ultimately just actually grateful for? And it can be as small as can be, or it can be as big as can be. For example, I myself I've had, and this isn't a sob story. This isn't to be I'm not trying to jerk any tears. I'm trying to go home and jerk myself after I'm done with this. But the point is, I've had a lot of trauma in my youth, a lot of really bad shit that has happened in my adolescence. Haven't had a whole lot of luck, but one of the things that is very, very good is that I landed a job in 2022, I want to say, that has paid well enough for me to build up a decent savings account, and has also afforded me the ability to go to Wrestlemania 41 this year. Something that was a childhood dream of mine that I never thought would be possible, given the abject poverty that I grew up in. And it happened, and I think that is amazing. I am very grateful for that. And here in a month, July 12th, right? I'm pretty sure it's July 12th. I'll be in Texas for AEW's Wrestlemania for All In at Globe Life Field. Yeah, Globe Life Field. So I'm very grateful for that. Let me know what you're grateful for. Yeah, man. I'm out of here. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of this parking lot before a red and blue pulls up, and yeah.